Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Johnson back again with another Bible story for you and some more of Paul's letter to the Ephesians. Another short section today. In fact, it's so short and it's so much like the one I did in the last lesson. I'm going to read the last part for you from last week. So let me open it up here. Take off our little string. And open it up. So this first part is last week's, and then I'll tell you when the new part starts. Because we love Jesus, we should submit to each other, just like the church is supposed to submit to Jesus. He loves us so much that he died for us. And because he loves us, he takes care of us. Remember, we said that submit last week was sort of like obeying sometimes, and sometimes letting someone else have their way. This is this week's new part. Remember, a big part of submitting to someone else is to respect that other person. Respect, there's another word that maybe we don't use real often. What does respect mean? Well, we can respect things like a book. You can respect a book, you read a book, you close it carefully, you put it back on the shelf. You don't just throw it on the floor and stomp all over it, because that wouldn't be taking good care of the book. That wouldn't be respecting the book. If you're playing with someone else's toy, you would play nicely with the toy, and then you would carefully put it back where it goes. You wouldn't throw it on the floor or throw it away, because that wouldn't be respecting your friend or respecting the toy. But when we talk about respecting people, it's also about treating them the right way. Treating them kindly, politely, even if it's somebody we don't know, even if it's someone who looks or sounds very different than us. And the hard part, even if they're not being nice to us, that's not easy to do. But it is possible to respect that person. We can speak kindly. We can speak politely. In other words, we can be nice. Whether they choose to be nice back, that's their problem. And our Bible story today is going to be about David again. Remember David that we heard about last week, that Samuel anointed with the oil on his hair to make him the new king when God was ready for him to be the new king? This week's lesson is that same David showing respect to King Saul, even when King Saul is not being nice to him. Wow, what is that going to look like? Come with me to the story pictures and we'll see. Remember last week, boys and girls, when I told you that sometimes after King Saul had disobeyed God, he would be feeling very angry and upset on the inside, and he'd be very frowny and unhappy looking on the outside. And some of his helpers said, "Ask Jesse's son David to come and play his harp for you. He plays beautiful music and maybe it will help you." And it did. Remember, David would pluck the strings with his fingers, blink, 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 and it would make beautiful, soothing music. And King Saul would feel happier. Here in the beginning, he's not happy. Look, he's angry and frowny. But then he listens to David for a while. And oh, what a difference. Look at his face now. He's happy. He's ready to have something to eat. He's feeling much, much better after David has played the beautiful music for him. But then comes the problem of Goliath, the giant. Remember the story of David and Goliath? When Goliath, the giant from the bad army, comes and says, "Send me a man to fight me. Are you afraid of me?" Oh, and he's just not very kind at all. David hears about it, and David says, "I will fight him, but I don't need the armor. I am a shepherd boy. I will use my sling and my stones. That's what I'm used to using. Goliath laughs at David. But David says, I come to fight you in the name of the living God, the God of Israel. So David puts his stone in his sling, and he swings it around and around and around, and all of a sudden, zip, he lets go of it. The stone flies through the air and hits giant Goliath, the giant, right in the forehead. It knocks him out and he falls down. Oh my goodness, the big giant has fallen. And David goes over, and yes, here the giant is killed, and now his army is running away. See? Goliath's soldiers are running away. Now that Goliath is dead, King Saul's army that David was fighting for, they are cheering for David. And when they go back to their town, the people are cheering for David because David has killed the giant. And that makes King Saul angry. King Saul wants the people cheering for him, not for David. King Saul is jealous. That means he wants something that David has. The people are cheering for David, but Saul wants them cheering for him. So now when David comes to play the music, it doesn't help King Saul stop being angry and frowny. He looks at David and he gets very, very angry. So one day when David is playing his music and King Saul is feeling very angry on the inside, he reaches down, he picks up his spear. Oh no! And he throws the spear at David. Oh, look at this. He didn't hit David with it, but he came very, very close. That could have killed David. David gets up and he runs away to hide because now he knows that King Saul is trying to kill him. Oh, how sad, boys and girls. King Saul is now so jealous and so angry that he's trying to hurt David. And King Saul is very angry that David got away. David has to go, he says. Oh my. Well, let's see, where did David go? David ran off to where he used to take his sheep, boys and girls. Remember, he would follow his sheep around and lead them to different places. David knows all of the country around there because he used to work there with his sheep. So he goes and he finds a very nice cave that he can hide in. He has some friends with him. Do you know what a cave is? See this great big rock? A hole has been cut out of the inside of it. It's like a little room, and it's called a cave. Sometimes they're very small, and you have to just crawl inside them, but sometimes they're big enough to stand up in. So here is David and some of his friends hiding in the cave. And they keep watching out the door because they know that pretty soon, yep, there is King Saul, right there, leading his army. He has his soldiers looking for David, and they are trying to kill him. Oh, how sad. But they don't see David in the cave. And after a while, King Saul needs to rest, so he comes to the cave, and he comes in to lie down and rest. Oh, look. Here he comes, King Saul. But who's over here hiding? Yes, it's David and his friends. King Saul doesn't know this. He lies down to take a rest. And while he's lying down and sleeping, He doesn't know that David is in the cave with him. Can you see David? He's hiding back here right behind the big rocks. David and his friends. And while Saul is sleeping, David starts to pull out his sword. And his friends think that he's going to kill King Saul. Oh my. We know that Saul was trying to kill David. Is David now trying to kill King Saul so that Saul can't hurt him? But no. Look what David does. He doesn't kill King Saul. He doesn't even hurt King Saul. He uses his sword to cut off some of the robe. See, here's Saul over here lying down with his robe over him to keep him warm while he rests. David cuts off just part of the robe. His men don't understand. They think that David should kill Saul because Saul is trying to kill him. And David says, no, God made King Saul the king. God will be the one to decide when Saul stops being the king. I'm just going to take some of his robe so that he will know I was close enough to kill him. But I'm not going to do that. God is the one to decide when King Saul stops being the king, not me. David respects King Saul because he is someone that God has chosen to be king. And King Saul, when he finds that torn edge on his robe, and he realizes that David was close enough to not only hurt him, but to kill him, and he didn't, he is very sad at that point. And he says, oh, David has been a better man than I have. I tried to kill him. He could have killed me, but he didn't. And how can David be that strong, boys and girls? He was strong on the inside to not kill King Saul. He was close enough to. And King Saul was asleep. David could have done it very easily. How can David be so strong on the inside? And here he is playing one of his harps again. And he says, he has a little song, and the song says, my help comes from God. That is how David can be strong enough on the inside to even respect King Saul. King Saul, who was trying to kill him. King Saul, who was not obeying God. But David can still respect him because God chose Saul to be the king first. And it will be God who decides when King Saul stops being the king, and then David can start. David's help comes from God. Oh, what a wonderful story. Wow, boys and girls, that was an exciting story. I can't imagine what it must have been like for David to go through that. But even so, as hard as it was, remember that he respected King Saul. Now, King Saul was not respecting David, not at all. He was trying to kill him. And he should not have been doing that. That's not what God wants us to do. But David did respect King Saul. Why? Because he knew that God was the one in charge. Remember? He said his help comes from God. God helped him fight that giant. God helped him get away from King Saul. And he helped him to do it in a way that let King Saul know how wrong he, King Saul, had been. It's just an amazing, amazing kind of trust in God to know that even in that dangerous a situation, that God would be helping him. And David knew too, he said to his men, I cannot kill the one that God has made the king. It is God's job to decide when King Saul has to stop being king, not mine. He's told me I'll be the king someday, but it's up to him to let me know when that time comes. So who do we respect? How do we be respectful to people? Well, anyone who's asking us to do something. Very often our family, usually our mom and dad, might be asking us to either stop doing something or please change what we're doing or do something else. You know what I mean, times when we need to obey. And we should do it cheerfully, and we should do it in a way that shows that we think they're important. Remember, God made them just like God made us. And if we think we're important, they are important too. So it's important for us to submit and be respectful when we do it. With our friends, we can respect our friends. I mentioned a friend's toy. We play nicely with the friend's toys, and then we put them away carefully. We don't try to break them or hurt them or smash them or get them dirty or anything like that, just to be mean. That's not being respectful. If we hurt somebody by accident, we tell them, "Oh, I'm sorry," and we mean it. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to make you cry." Whatever the situation is, that's how we be kind and respectful to friends. People that we don't know, we can smile and say hello to them. Sometimes in a store, I'll thank the lady who is taking care of me, helping me to get my packages ready to take out of the store. When I pay her the money and I thank her, and sometimes I'll say, "I hope you have a nice day. I hope you have a really nice day." Or, "I hope your day isn't too busy today." Just something that she knows or he knows that I care about them, because they are special in God's eyes. So think about ways that you can be kind and respectful to people. Next week, when we come back, I'll have more in Paul's letter, and this one will be a section especially for children. So be sure to come and listen next week. For right now, let's go over to our Bible words and practice some more. Here we are. Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Remember, we're trying to copy God's holy ways. We're trying to copy Jesus. And if Jesus was kind, then we want to be kind. If he helped someone, then we want to help someone. All the different things that Jesus did, if we can do them too, we want to do that. So let's say the words together while I point with my finger. Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. All right, let's see. Can we have some fun with this week again? Do you think you can say it really fast with me? I'll get my finger ready. Ready? Go. Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Whew, that was so fast I almost couldn't keep up with my finger. Let's try that again. Ready? Go. Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Whew. Okay, now let's go really, really slowly. Are you ready? Go. Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Good job on the slowdown. All right, now, can you say it regular speed but loud with me? Are you ready? Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. Oh, that sounded really loud to my ears. What I said, I can't hear you, but I bet you were loud too. Now, let's do it. Whisper soft. Can you whisper with me? Ready?
be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5:1 and 2.
Good job, boys and girls. You are really learning these. And now let's say it regular speed, regular sound in our voice. And after we do this, then we will go and sing our song. Ready? Be imitators of God and walk in love. Ephesians 5:1 and 2. Very good. Let me just say a quick prayer for us before we sing our song. Dear Jesus, help my friends that are listening to me today. Help them to be imitators of you. Help them to copy the way you did things, the way you were kind and loving to people, and the way you submitted to people, and the way that you were respectful to people. Help us to copy those things, and help us to do it the way you did, Jesus, with lots and lots of love. Amen. All right, let's go sing. Since I love Jesus, I'll serve in peace each day. Since I love Jesus, I'll copy God's holy ways. Since I love Jesus, I'll be thankful and obey. I'm adopted into his family. Jesus died to take away your sin. He rose again and he wants to be your friend. He'll make you wise so you can live for him. You can be in his family. All right, now I'll have the camera move a little bit closer to me so you can watch my mouth, and we'll do it again. Since I love Jesus, I'll serve in peace each day. Since I love Jesus, I'll copy God's holy ways. Since I love Jesus, I'll be thankful and obey. I'm adopted into his family. Jesus died to take away your sin. He rose again and he wants to be your friend. He'll make you wise so you can live for him. You can be in his family. All right, let's back up and we'll add the clapping to it. Remember when we clap on these verses? Here we go. Since I love Jesus, I'll serve in peace each day. Since I love Jesus, I'll copy God's holy ways. Since I love Jesus, I'll be thankful and obey. I'm adopted into his family. Jesus died to take away your sin. He rose again and he wants to be your friend. He'll make you wise so you can live for him. You can be in his family.